Hi, and welcome to Michigan Matters. Canada is Michigan's most important trading partner, and we're theirs. We've been intertwined forever, which is why we're going to focus on that critical relationship as we talk with former Michigan Governor, U.S. Ambassador to Canada, Jim Blanchard, and Colin, the Canadian Consul General, about it. Then it's a look at the Michigan Central Station's Children's Endowment Initiative, which was launched by Bill and Lisa Ford as they support nonprofits helping children. We have three folks with us here to talk about it. It's a look at a critical relationship impacting our economy and an endowment helping children across Metro Detroit. Let's get started.
From CBS Detroit, this is Michigan Matters with Carol Kane. Michigan Matters is brought to you in part by Cure Auto Insurance.
And we're joined by former Michigan Governor and U.S. Ambassador to Canada, Jim Blanchard, and Colin, Canadian Consul General, who happens to be based in Detroit. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's great to be here with you, Carol. And with
Thank you.
Your Excellency.
Thank you, General. Thank you.
Do you prefer to be called Governor or Ambassador?
I'd like Jim or Your Majesty. Whatever.
Well, we'll consider that as an idea going forward here. So we're going to talk about the state of relations, what's going on here. Mr. Consul General, before we dive in on issues, I have to ask you, your offices are down in the Renaissance Center, which we know there's lots of people who used to be there who are no longer there. Are you planning to stick around there, or what are you going to do?
Carol, we're committed to being in downtown Detroit. We still have a lease in the 600 tower at the Renaissance. Happy to be there. I got great views of Canada out my office window.
You can look up literally.
I can literally look at Canada. But of course, we're looking at other options in downtown Detroit as well. But we will see how it progresses. But the bottom line is we're committed to Detroit.
Well, speaking of progressing, let's talk about something that's been progressing and not necessarily always in a positive way over the last year and a half here, is the trade relations between the U.S. and Canada. Much has developed since January of 2025. Mr. Ambassador, let me ask you, how do you describe the nature of relations between Canada and Michigan/U.S. right now?
Well, at the top level of our governments, they're the worst in modern history. If you look at day-to-day relations of the different departments and states and people, they're very good. You know, most Americans understand, and most elected officials understand, that Canada is our best friend, ally, and partner, and we should not have to tolerate the acrimony that we've witnessed from the top. It'll get worked out, but it's going to take a lot of work over the next few years to repair relations. And I'm not just talking about tariffs. It's the insults. It's other things, describing Canada as a 51st state, talking about annexation. All that is totally unnecessary, and I think any right-thinking public official or American agrees with what I've just said.
Mr. Consul General, how do you see it from your standpoint? You're on the other side of the border, if you will, even though you're physically in Detroit. Your wife's from Detroit, in fact, the Detroit area here. How do you describe, would it be a different description than what the ambassador just said?
Well, I've got a regional purview. I am Consul General here in the Midwest. And candidly, there is no better place to be a Canadian diplomat than here in Michigan, here in the Midwest. Everywhere I go and speak with political leaders in this region, the relationship is strong, it's vibrant, it's built on mutual respect. And so the noise we sometimes hear out of Washington, I try to put that a bit to a side.
Yeah.
I mean, we have very significant issues, the tariff issues, particularly steel, aluminum, our auto sector on both sides of the border is being heavily impacted. I think the Federal Reserve has talked about the state of Michigan as being sort of ground zero in the U.S. for impacts of tariffs. So we have some work to do, but from my perspective, I have great colleagues here on the U.S. side.
So I don't know how many consul generals there are from your country in the U.S., and are you the largest office? And I think you represent, what, 4 states, 3 others besides Michigan?
So it's a 4-state territory. It really is Automotive Valley, sort of from Kentucky on up. And part of my job is making sure that we understand that Detroit is really at the hub of an innovation ecosystem that stretches down from Kentucky right up into Toronto. And that's really the strength of the region. And if you talk with certainly the new mayor of Detroit, the officials in the state government here, Governor Whitmer, there is a real recognition that we prosper when we prosper together.
So we're about to go to break here, Mr. Ambassador, but before we do, I know you have an upcoming event in Washington taking place May 11th, the Canadian United States Law Institute. They do this every year. It's the 50th anniversary. You've been a key player with this. What is the purpose of it this year?
Well, this year, the whole topic of the conference is the future of Canada-U.S. relations, to make sure they are better. I agree with what you say about Michigan. No state has more to gain or lose in relations with Canada, by the way, than Michigan. And also that most governors in America appreciate Canada and want better relations. Aside from tariffs are just one issue. We'll always have disagreements on trade, but everything can be made better, and we're gathering up a lot of leaders on May 11th in Washington to do just that, including leaders from Michigan.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of global leaders there. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to continue the conversation, and we're going to even talk about that Gordie Howe Bridge. Keep it right here. And welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're talking with former Michigan Governor, Ambassador to Canada, Jim Blanchard, and Colin Bird, who's the Canadian Consul General. I don't know if you happen to hear Artemis II, which has been circling space, went around the moon and came back. Donald Trump had a phone call with them last Monday as they circled the farthest extent of around the moon and talked about the 4 astronauts, one being a Canadian, and was effusive talking about Canada, talking about how proud, and his friend Mark Carney, who's the Prime Minister. And Jim Blanchard, you're a longtime diplomat, observer of politics. Could this be a stemming of the tide, if you will, about some of the...
It sounds like it. I'm really pleased with his statements. It's great. Maybe, I think he's getting good advice now about Canada, whereas, as some of us know, he didn't get good advice about the bridge.
Well, and that brings up the Gordie Howe International Bridge, which is essentially finished. It's ready to go. It's ready to open here. And it's now in a holding pattern, if you will. Do you expect it to be open sometime in the near future?
We are having great collaboration from the federal agencies. We're having great collaboration, certainly from our partner in the state of Michigan, which is co-owner of the bridge with Canada.
Yeah.
So it's all systems go towards a successful launch of a piece of infrastructure that's telling the rest of the world that this binational economic region is open for business.
How important is the Gordie Howe International Bridge long-term to our region on both sides of the border here?
It's important to Michigan, to the Great Lakes region, to our overall relations. As we've said, it will be a towering symbol of our cooperation, and it'll open. I've worked on this 20 years. I don't know whether it's days, weeks, or months. It will open.
You're positive.
We'll be proud of it, and it will add to trade, tourism, finance, retailing, cultural exchanges, national security, because you need 2 crossings there.
Yeah.
The tunnel can't handle the trucks and things, and so it's all important, or it wouldn't have been built.
It's more than a bridge. It really is. If you talk to the border agencies, folks in public security, these are going to be jewels in the crown for both the Canadian border services and U.S. border services from either border. And that's important to move forward, and our border agencies are really looking forward to this.
Real quickly, Colin, over the last 18 months, one of your charges is to help Canadian companies that are doing business in the U.S. and Michigan and the other states here. How has what you've been doing changed, if at all, over the course of the last 18 months?
There's a lot more wait and see in terms of U.S. Investments into the U.S. by Canadian companies. They're looking for stability and predictability. That's what we hope to achieve in our negotiations and discussions with the United States about our trade agreement. I'm confident that there are people in the administration who understand the importance of giving the business environment here, particularly in the Midwest, some base of stability and predictability, and certainly that's what Canada is working towards.
Mark Carney comes out of the world of real estate earlier in his career, similar to Donald Trump, and then went on to politics here. Do you know if Trump and Carney have been talking recently?
They have a very strong personal relation. You know, the world is in a challenging place. Our Prime Minister has a lot to offer in terms of contacts and ability to be of assistance to the United States in the cause of peace, and we're working towards
A good diplomat.
Very diplomatic answer.
Thank you, Jim.
So, Governor, you with your event coming up on May 11th in Washington, you're going to be looking at manufacturing and trade and tourism, which has taken a huge hit here in this region because Canadians have stopped coming over the border for whatever reason. Do you expect things in this upcoming trade conversation between Mexico and Canada and U.S., which has a July deadline here, will something get changed dramatically in the current contract?
You can always improve an agreement that was made 4 or 5 years ago, and so I expect there'll be improvements. I would also add agriculture. You know, Michigan's a major agricultural state, and so, frankly, is Ontario. So there's that. I expect the agreement will be renewed and improved, and the statements by the president to the astronauts is a nice step in that direction.
Okay, you got 30 seconds here quickly. With the contract that was finally hatched between Michigan and Canada on the bridge, a quick yes or no, will there be changes on the agreement, do you think, ultimately before the bridge opens?
Not in a significant way, in a way that allows people to save face.
Okay. Enough said on that. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We'll have you back as this goes on because there's going to be a lot more to say about it. It's too important a conversation to not continue to keep a focus on it. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
And keep it right here. We're back with more Michigan Matters and a conversation that revolves around the Michigan Central Station and some organizations. Keep it right here. We're back and talking with Andrew Stein, who's the president and CEO of the Children's Foundation of Michigan. It's been a minute since you were here with Lisa Ford. God, it seems like, I don't know, how long was that, 2 years ago now?
Yeah, we were last year about 1.5 years ago.
Wow,
yeah.
wow. So, and you were here to talk about the Michigan Central Station Children Endowment Initiative, which is Bill and Lisa started along with you and got this going. They were originally going to raise $10 million, and then, boy, you guys raised close to $20 million, right?
That's right. Yeah, we kicked this off. We kicked off the fundraising almost 2 years ago,
Okay.
and we announced that. You were very helpful as we announced the campaign, and we said, wouldn't it be great if we could raise $10 million in celebration of the opening of the train station? And in about 6 months, this community rallied, and we raised over $19 million. And then 1.5 years ago, we were here because we announced the 11 organizations that the community selected to receive these endowments.
Explain a little bit, too, about the endowments. So there's 11 nonprofits that were chosen amongst the many who applied. And what is it that these endowments provide? Is it just dollars and cents? Is it mentorship? What is it they're getting?
So each of the 11 organizations got an endowment of $500,000 established for their benefit. And then they have the opportunity for every dollar they raise into their endowment, it'll be matched by another $500,000. So the goal is for each organization to finish this initiative with a $1.5 million endowment. On top of that, we have been working alongside them for the last 1.5 years, providing them technical support, additional investments to help them build the capacity and that muscle to do this type of fundraising that universities, hospitals, large cultural institutions do day in and day out, but our community-based organizations, this was very new to them, raising endowment money.
So let's talk about endowments. An endowment, again, it always comes down to the money, it's the dollars and cents, finances, resources to continue to do what you're doing, but then build for the future too, right? And that's pretty much what this is doing, to have organizations that maybe have been running year to year. I've got to raise, this chunk of change in this time frame to maybe not be on that immediate money chase, but something longer term, right?
That's right. An endowment is a perpetual source of capital for an organization. Most community organizations try to raise one more dollar than they spend each year, and then they get to push that rock right up the hill again the following fiscal year. An endowment provides annual support to the organizations, and it's just a way for an organization to be able to plan for their future because they've gotten that investment in their long term.
Talk about endowments in the Detroit area. I don't know how we compare to, say, other major cities around the country in terms of dollars raised for that, but how do we do?
Yeah, we're an incredibly generous community, but if you look historically over the last 120 years, we are actually an under-endowed community. We have not focused on building endowment the way some of our peer cities of Cleveland or Chicago or Pittsburgh have.
I think of Pittsburgh too. They do an amazing job there with stuff. Is it a matter of having long-term, I don't want to say corporate wealth, business family wealth type thing? I mean, in other words, we think of big wealthy families as being big donors to these things, but that's not the case necessarily. There's smaller, just individuals, right, that can donate to these things?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we have found in raising money for this initiative and every day at the Children's Foundation of Michigan, where we're out talking about building endowment for this region, is most people don't even know about endowment or are interested in learning when you talk to them about the ability to invest in their community, not just as a one-off, but something that will serve their community for the long term. They're taken by it.
Let's say somebody's watching this and someone has money and they're thinking long term, maybe I'd want to help the community in some way here, and they've got some money. What would you advise them as a starting point to learn more about endowments?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely go to our website, yourchildrensfoundation.org. You can navigate your way. You can read about what we do with endowments. You can also make your way to the page that talks about this Michigan Central Initiative and the 11 organizations that were selected.
I know. The Children's Foundation of Michigan does amazing things too. Anything else real quickly here before we go to break you want to mention you're doing that beyond the Central Station?
Yeah, we always have a lot going on, Carol. We're always just trying to build this institution so that it can serve the needs of kids today, tomorrow, and 50 years from now.
Well, and you know what? We're going to continue the conversation and talk about 50 years and beyond with two other leaders of nonprofits who are benefiting from this endowment. So keep it right here. We're back with more Michigan Matters. We're back. As Andrew and I are now joined by Desiree Jennings, who's President and CEO of the Children's Center, and Pam Bailey, who's Development Director of Birth Detroit. Welcome, ladies. Great to have you with us.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Well, I know your organizations are doing amazing work here. And Desiree, let me start with you. Tell us a little bit about the organization and what the initiative is enabling you to do.
So the Children's Center has been around 97 years, very long time, and we provide behavioral health services, we help kids in foster care, and we help advocate for kids and families. And this endowment initiative has really helped us to think differently about long-term financial sustainability.
We're going to talk a little bit about that. And Pam, same question to you. Your organization, I believe, is 6 years old?
Yes, we're the youngest.
The baby of the 11.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about the organization, its mission, and again, how the initiative is helping.
Sure, I'd love to. So Birth Detroit is Detroit's only and first Black-led organization to support midwifery care. So we support families from prenatal to birth and beyond with well women care, support groups. So we are in the business of helping create families and support families.
And Andrew, when you, and I don't know if Lisa and Bill were part of the whittling process of ultimately deciding which of the many, many organizations. How many applied, by the way?
Yeah, we had 104 nonprofit organizations apply, and Lisa, Bill, and I, we knew we did not want to be the ones to select the organization. Right. So we formed a selection committee of members of the community, and then 44 young people as well reviewed those 104 applications, really with the guiding questions of what are the organizations that provide such critical work that they need to be here forever. And out of that came 11 organizations, including 97-year-old Children's Center and our baby of the group, Birth Detroit.
Yeah. So Desiree, 97 years, the organization, which I understand has ties to Henry Ford originally when it was started, what is it you're learning or changing from, I mean, obviously every organization thinks change just naturally, but is there anything dramatically changed now that you're going to do differently?
Well, one of the dramatic things is being part of this endowment initiative. So the Children's Center had not had a permanent endowment prior to this initiative. So this gives us a way to think differently about being innovative about programs as opposed to just the everyday cash program needs that we have.
Right. Pam's kind of same question to you. I mean, I don't know how long you've been with Birth Detroit.
We are a very young organization, so I've only been with the organization about a year.
Okay.
So I was able to come on right when the endowment initiative was kicked off.
Wow.
And I think for us, like I mentioned, we create families. We help create generations. So from a clinical side, it's been something that we embrace, creating generations. But from an administrative side, we're now looking at things more technically, how can we support the organization for generations to come?
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, it was like a pitch perfect, this all coming together, Andrew, with you and Bill and Lisa, and doing this because around the same time, the federal government starts cutting back on a lot of these programs. I'm going to guess out of the 100-some that applied, I'm going to bet 99% of them were impacted right off the bat there. So the timing of this is perfect, right? Of helping you plan what you're going to do long term and making sure you remain viable and available to provide the services long term, right?
Yes, it gives us a different type of flexibility that we can really look at which area needs the most attention and most support, which now changes all the time.
Yeah. And Andrew, when you guys were deciding, and again, I know you had a committee that was there, but as the conversations unfolded, and I know some of the folks who were part of it, and I know it's a wonderful and heartbreaking thing because you have to say no to some organizations and yes to others here. Was there a mix of what kinds of help you wanted to provide? In other words, was it strictly health and wellness type things? Was it providing shelter, roof overhead? I mean, do you know how that broke down?
Yeah, I mean, we said you have to be an agency that serves children 0 to 26. And the way the selection committee looked at it is they wanted organizations that provided a range of benefits from young children all the way through, workforce development. And so if you look at the 11 organizations, you can see a continuum of support amongst the 11, which is... Yeah.
The reach of the 11 organizations, is it strictly within Detroit or is this a regional thing?
So all the organizations are based within 25 miles of the train station. So we've got organizations in Detroit, but some that serve southern Macomb County, southern Oakland County, western Wayne.
So talk a little bit, if you will, Desiree, about endowments. Obviously, you need to raise money as a nonprofit to continue, and the endowment, is this going to make it easier, do you think?
I do. Yeah, it adds another piece to the puzzle.
Okay.
So you think about, we have cash for every day, and then you have your long-term savings account where you can dip into, but then you also have the endowment, which gives you that consistent annual contribution that you can rely on, and it's not going anywhere.
Right. And Pam, with what's taking place here, the economy is kind of in a brittle stage right now between what's going on in Washington, what's going on across the world, and price of gasoline, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera here. We don't want to get into the politics of all that. But as you look ahead, is it going to be tougher knowing that when the economy is not doing so great, it's harder for people to open up the pocketbook or checkbook and saying, here you go, let's give you this, right?
Yeah, we definitely look at the ebbs and flows. I've been in nonprofit work for about 15 years, and I can see the difference, in people and their generosity. And that's what endowment does is we have that, no one likes to live paycheck to paycheck. We've all been there. We've all lived paycheck to paycheck. This is that ability, that rainy day fund to ensure that nonprofits aren't living paycheck to paycheck, that we are sustaining through those lows, and then we make it up on the other side whenever things are great.
So I think there's going to be a long-term payoff to this. When you look back 10 years from now and these 11 organizations that kind of started this, the amazing things that were done through this. Children's Foundation of Michigan has been around, I don't know how many years?
We started in 2011. Yeah.
Okay. So as you look long-term, are you looking to build upon this, or do you have anything else planned you can mention in 30 seconds or less?
Yes. Well, I think we've learned two main things through this initiative. One is that if you want to focus on endowment, you can do it, whether you've been here 97 years or 6 years.
Yep.
And then two, that organizations are looking for help and partners in how to raise this kind of money. And at the Children's Foundation, we want to be the organization.
You're still doing other things, in other words. You're not done with the train station here. You're doing, there's other things planned.
We are looking for other organizations that want to start or grow their endowment and want to work with us on how to do that.
And how do they reach you?
Go to our website.
Website there? Yeah. Okay. It's so great hearing about some of this. It's so inspiring. Congratulations on all you're doing here, and great stuff here. And it's something as simple as starting an endowment, the impact it's had. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Thanks you at home for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you next Sunday for a little bit more Michigan Matters.